John Cohen, athletics director at Mississippi State. He was waiting for you.
You should have just said, at Mississippi State, we look forward, not behind. We're just making assumptions about the future here.
Well, if you'd have been a great partner, man, you'd have told me what the question was before I stepped in.
I didn't know
here.
that was happening. Richard got us on that one.
All right.
How cool these trucks are.
Oh, they're just incredible. I love the graphics on them, and they're like rolling billboards, right?
Exactly right. And in terms of brand identity, I mean, to see it, you're going to Athens and you see that thing rolling through downtown Atlanta on the way to Athens or down I-55 and into the state of Louisiana, kind of put your stamp on it. It makes you feel really good.
It really does, and I've been in one of these things, our truck actually, and you're like in a small apartment when you get into the cab. The back seat area is just incredible, but. Yeah, KLLM has been just so good to us, and Jim's just been a great partner, and it's we can't express how thankful we are to those guys.
Well, and it's one of those companies that has stayed true to its roots in the state of Mississippi,
yes.
And you just feel so good for companies that do that.
Yes, employing Mississippians and doing so many things for all these universities and public and private education throughout the state. They've just done an incredible job.
All right, so I tried with Keith and didn't get anywhere. Do you think Texas and Oklahoma are going to be SEC members going forward?
You know what?
Wait, no, I said I wasn't going to ask that question. That's what it was. The one I did ask, were you surprised when you saw that news come out yesterday?
I was just telling Keith this before. I think when you're an SEC athletic director, there's not much that's going to surprise you at this point because – this world is evolving at such a rapid rate. I've only done this for 4.5 years, but the earth is spinning on its axis a little quicker now than it was 4.5 years ago, and the landscape's going to change over the next 4 or 5 years. It's going to move even faster. So it's an exciting time to be in intercollegiate athletics, but at the same time, it might be the most unpredictable era in the history of college athletics.
I'm going to try and ask this carefully, and I don't want to put you in a bind. I understand that. When you play in a league that in every single sport is as competitive as the SEC is, it doesn't matter if you're talking about football or baseball or women's golf, whatever it is.
Or volleyball. Kentucky wins the national championship in volleyball.
Another great point. Does it matter if you add a couple of more blue blood programs?
I'm going to give you the company line because I really believe this. And the company line for me is if it's in the best interest of the Southeastern Conference, if it's something that expands and makes our brand better, then it's worth exploring. That's what I believe. And, again, I'm not just talking about expansion of the two schools that you mentioned. Potentially, I'm talking about any form of expansion in any area. So I'm a big believer in that. What I have learned over and over again from Greg Sankey and other visionaries in our league is if it stays the same, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
It's got to evolve to excel, and that's exactly what our league does better than anybody.
We've talked with Dr. Keenum about kind of the next step in the potential college football playoff expansion to 12 teams, and he warned us to be careful, to not jump to any conclusions because there was still a lot of work to be done. For Mississippi State, for an Ole Miss, if we go to 12 teams, is that a benefit for schools in our state?
Yeah, there's no question about that. If you look at the evolution, first when we went to when the national championship format to begin, the BCS, everybody said, this is going to ruin college football. And then we went to 4, this is going to ruin college football. Let's be honest. The NCAA has been running tournament-style football for a long time. And to expand that field makes a lot of sense. But I do know this. Dr. Keenum is on the board of managers for the CFP. It's not a snap your fingers thing and it's done. There's a lot of commitments that all of us have, whether it's bowl partnerships or any number of television contracts. There's so many different things that are involved in that process. You can't snap your fingers and have this thing happen immediately. So here's what I do know. I have a lot of trust and a lot of faith in the people who are on part of that board of managers. And nobody bigger or smarter or has more vision than Mark Keenum. So I know they'll make great decisions for the future of this great sport.
We've played around with a bunch of different formats, like everybody has, right? I mean, I'm curious. You've probably done the same thing with a notepad. Yeah, well, what if it looked like this? I was shocked when 12 was the number that came out. And then when I started reading it and looking at it, I was like, This makes a lot of sense. Had you ever kind of thought, well, 12 maybe, who knows?
I think 12 is a good number. Again, when you play this game of what ifs and you live in the world of might be's, it is fun to write it on paper, and it's fun. But I do know there's a lot that's got to happen before all this can happen. But if you're going to play the what-if game, I do think 12 is a great number. I think there's a lot of thought that's already gone into it, and a ton more thought will go into it before this actually happens. What we know right now will be completely different 4 years from now. That's the only thing we do know. But we also know that expansion in every way in college athletics, whether it's name, image, and likeness, is an expansion type project. We know the transfer, the new rules of transfer and the transfer portal is an expansion of college athletics. Why would we think that every other part of college athletics isn't going to follow suit?
3 weeks ago today, you were getting ready to watch the final game of the college baseball season. Have you had a break?
Did you make it to the lake?
I did make it to the lake,
okay.
and which is a lot of fun. In fact, I don't know why, in the middle of Smith Lake, we are surrounded by Mississippi State folks, which is just incredible when you consider that we're in Alabama-Auburn territory. But yeah, Nell and I have been able to take some time, but it was such an emotional situation for us because, when you play in the program and the guys that were on the 71 team that went to their first College World Series, and you look into these folks' eyes, there was only one thing missing, and that was that national championship trophy. And I just feel like when our kids and our coaching staff were able to pull this off, they reached out and gave a gigantic hug to the thousands of people who came before them. And it was such a we thing instead of just this team being isolated on an island, and they embraced that. And more than anything, I'm just so happy for our fans because our fans have deserved this. They have created a standard for creating an atmosphere in a stadium well before anybody else did. And you just love the fact that they were honored throughout this entire process.
Only about 30 seconds left. What's immediate agenda item for you?
Yeah, of course, we're not done with COVID, so that's right in front of us.
I really wish we were, though.
Yeah, I really wish too, but we got to make sure that our kids are protected, our fans are protected. We got to make great decisions there. We got to keep progressing in every other part of our stadium. Facilities are always an issue. We got to do something with our south end zone. We're just about to embark on in fact, we already have embarked on a $50 to $60 million project with our Coliseum. We're going to make some renovations to softball. We're going to make some renovations to volleyball. In fact, we got to keep making Duty Noble the premier baseball facility in the entire country. So a lot on the agenda for us.
A lot of building. There's going to be a lot of construction in the state of Mississippi in the coming months and years. Thanks, as always, for your time. Great to see you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Truck looks fantastic. Mississippi State's equipment truck on display. We are outside Trustmark Park. Love you to come see us. If you're coming in for the Braves and the Shuckers game tonight, you'll see the Ole Miss, Southern Miss, Mississippi State, and Jackson State equipment trucks from KLLM. You want to sit in the cab? You can do it. Come on by. Sports.